Hello, and welcome to episode 270 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian,
And I'm James.
and we are going to talk about Outlaws of Thunder Junction mechanics, or perhaps OTC, or OTP, or BIG of the notorious variety, or
SPG.
SPG, or OPP. Yeah, you know
Yeah,
me.
you know me.
Like any number of things. So we're going to talk about I think the technical term is cluster F of a set that is Outlaws at Thunder Junction.
Yeah, I don't even know about Magic anymore. I made a snide comment during the pre-show, but I mean it's kind of true. Like every time Wizards comes out with an announcement, has an announcement day, spoils something, like I feel like I care less and less every time.
Yeah. So, I guess, I don't know, if you want to tell us that we're wrong and you're hype for Cowboy Oko and Cowboy everyone else, you can get at us on social media, Facebook, Discord, Twitter, the artist formerly known as Twitter, I guess, X. Or email. Come in, say hi.
Tell us we're wrong.
Going on. Tell us we're wrong. Tell us it is your favorite.
Or tell us we're right.
5 sets at once, it's your favorite. Or we're right.
Yeah,
we like being right.
I never get sick of people telling me I'm right.
No, never.
Yeah, so hit us up. If you're looking to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there, do your shopping. As long as you follow that link to get there, you'll be supporting the show at the same time. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Goes a long way to keep the lights on, so we would appreciate that. If you want to support us more directly, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is how you can do that. Sign up for our Patreon, chip a couple bucks in, however much you feel like we're worth to you, and you get access to our perks, which include our show notes, so you get a sneak peek about what the show is going to be about, and our pre-show, another hour-ish of content out of us. You guys are all welcome. Bridge content finally returned. I know you guys were waiting with bated breath for more bridge content. We did not disappoint. We talked about bridges because
we did
topical today.
It's very topical.
Or bottomical
of the
well, because the bridge isn't on top anymore, so
it is not. Well, it's literally on top of a boat. So,
part of it is under the water, under the sea.
Under the sea. So yeah. All right. We have somehow 5 sets jammed into one set.
I don't even know what Wizards is doing. Like
drugs.
Yeah, something along those lines for sure. I titled this a meta mechanic because it's like outside of a set mechanic, but it's mechanical in the way the set is released. So I don't know. Yeah, is it 4 or 5 sets? Is it 5?
There are in the thing. One of them is the commander deck.
Yeah.
So there is OTJ, which is Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
Yep.
That is the proper Oko hat. Then you have the OTC, which is the commander product, which is the Oko hat
in front of a commander symbol.
In front of the commander symbol. Then you have OTP, which is a locked jail.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have BIG,
big score,
which is a bank vault.
Yep.
And then you have SPG, which looks like the Pentagon if you put a star in the middle of it.
Yeah. So I think that the SPG expansion symbol is going to remain the same, like going forward, because part of Play Boosters is special guests.
Okay.
So I think that star symbol, I guess I don't know this for sure, but I think that star symbol is going to remain the same because that's very close to a symbol that they've used previously for something similar.
Okay.
So, again, I don't have any actual information of that, but that's my assumption. I completely missed OTP, though. Like, what is OTP?
I am looking.
65 card bonus sheet called Breaking News.
Okay, so
Okay,
that
so
is
that's just
the bonus sheet. So those are the ones that kind of have the newspaper vibe, I guess.
and that's different than special guests because I thought special guest was your
Yes.
bonus sheet.
I think there's like effectively 2 bonus sheets.
Okay. Is this how it
There's
is
the
like just now? Is this how Magic is now? Is 2 bonus sheets?
I guess. So let's see, what is this thing here? So like, but the weird thing is like the big scorecards are just like seemingly random cards. There's like no rhyme or reason to it. Like,
Well,
there's a card that could have been like Alltech Matter Weaver, like that. That's from the last set, right? Not that card, but
right.
like that name. It makes a gnome.
Yeah.
Like it could have just been in the last set.
Well, what the big score is supposed to be is, I guess, like the lore, the quest for this set or whatever, is that people are trying to get to this. You played Borderlands, right?
I did.
You got the vault at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the plot of Thunder Junction.
Which I feel like I called.
Yeah.
I was like, are we just gonna be like rushing towards some like giant MacGuffin?
Yeah.
And yeah, so the MacGuffin
Wait,
is a
so
vault.
what was the the plot for Ixalan?
Rushing towards a giant MacGuffin.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So we're
And
not writing stories anymore.
So that MacGuffin was the the thing that made it so Planeswalkers didn't work. Oh, what was it called? And you drew an extra card. It was 6 mana.
Immortal Sun?
Yes. Like, is it the like transmutation font?
I don't know. Maybe. That card's actually kind of cool. I wish it wasn't 5 mana, but I genuinely kind of like that card.
8 mana to get your first payoff is a little to a lot much, but
yeah,
like it's cool. But they just were like, they just trained ChatGPT on the story from Ixalan.
Yeah.
And then make it with cowboys.
Well, and then we get like Death Race set next year, right? Which I'm sure is going to be the exact same plot, but with vehicles.
Yeah. Hey, this set has vehicles. They're just alive.
That's creepy.
They're alive. They're living vehicles.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
So
the first thing is there are just a ton of different sets and set symbols and general nonsense.
Well, like you just said, the big score cards could have just been in the set.
Yes.
Like we have
absolutely.
Omen Paths, so like there's a way for, and we talked about this in the pre-show a little bit. I'm not going to go into that tangent right now, but there's ways for things to get from plane to plane. So
yes.
Old Tech, Matter, Shaper, whatever, like sure, it's plausible that that person is now on Thunder Junction for some reason. But if that person's just in Thunder Junction, why can't they just be in the set? Yeah. Why can't Torpor Orb just be in the set? Why can't your font just be in the set?
I feel like it is definitely a like, hey, we have we have slots to fill. And so
but you could fill them with cards from the set if you put the cards in the set.
But the problem is like if you handcuff yourself by saying, okay, the new booster that we're going to have is going to have this many cards from the set. Then they're going to have this many booster fun cards and this many special guest cards and yada, yada, yada. Right? Then you handcuff yourself into being like, well, I guess we have to make some booster fun crap. And we touched on this in the pre-show that, perhaps Wizards is rapidly running out of ideas.
Oh, you mean like
And
having the same plot for like consecutive sets?
Yes, or the same plot for. I have no idea what the plot for. Like, I was thinking of the Ixalan from like 5 years ago. I have no idea what the plot from the last Ixalan was.
Oh, it's the same plot. They were like trying to get to racing to the center of Ixalan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they called it Journey to the Center of Ixalan. That's right. Yeah. But like, if you are running out of like reasonable card design ideas, more on that in a second.
Yeah.
Does it make the most sense to be cranking out like 400 card sets? Because I gotta bang out like 65 like extra cards that can kind of go in this set.
Yeah.
And
well,
it's like,
what's weird is that like all of these special sets have different legalities, kind of, except for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which is a regular standard release, legal everywhere, and the Big Score. Like the Big Score is legal in all of the places where Outlaws of Thunder Junction are. Like, why aren't they just one set?
Okay, so I was wrong. The Big Score is only 30 cards.
Well, that doesn't change where it's legal.
Yeah. No, Breaking News is 65 cards.
Oh, gotcha.
And those are the OTP. Those are the...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but why not just make the set 330 cards as opposed to whatever it is, 295 plus 30?
Right.
Right? Like, we could have just made it 325, and, maybe one day they'll look back and be like, oh, man, I really wish we had a bank vault door set symbol for our, like, for our Ocean's 11 crossover universes beyond.
Yeah.
Right? Like this. Now I just have to do a pile of casino chips.
Yep.
Like, oh man, what are we gonna do?
Yep.
So, yes, that's the first thing. We're just all over the place with cards and legalities and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it is something that we may not have talked about, but other people have, is hello, new player. Here is a pack.
Right.
And then they open the pack. And then you have to give them a flow chart so they know if they can play the cards they just opened.
Right.
That does not seem like the best new player experience.
Especially if you're not like newly refocused on standard. Like if you're trying to grow standard, which it, by all measures seems like they're trying to do, like including things in a standard booster pack that aren't standard legal probably isn't ideal. And like, I get it if it's like a card here or there that's like a lotto card or whatever that, is a special thing, and somebody else gets excited that the new player opened the lotto card and that gets the new player excited, and sure, that's worth a little bit of confusion. But if you buy 3 booster packs to like shuffle up and play a game with your buddy because you never played Magic before and you want to learn, and you're not allowed to play with 10 cards that you open.
Yeah, that is difficult.
Yeah.
Also, the idea of lotto cards is kind of going away when like they're like, oh hey, we're gonna print like, I guess, like, what's it called, Grindstone. Fine, that's a little expensive, but like you could open Grindstone, or you could open Path to Exile, which is like not played anywhere in like a quarter,
or Mana Drain,
or you get Mana Drain.
Yeah.
And it's like, this makes no, like, there's no rhyme or reason to this.
Right.
So, yeah, it's like there's less like, oh, hey, I got this really cool like version of this card. Yeah, it's like worth like 50 cents because
it used to be really good until like every other card got really good.
Like Who has ever played Clear Shot outside of Limited?
Right.
But it gets a cool treatment.
Mm-hmm.
It's right beside Mana Drain.
Best counterspell ever printed.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, one of these cards has consistently been worth $100.
Right.
And one of them, I guess, yeah, still, it's the lowest printing is $60.
Yeah.
And another one is worth like not worth the cardboard it's printed on.
Right.
So like it's not even like universally like this treatment is like get hype you opened one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like get a little hype, but then go to TCG Player.
Yeah.
And see how much it's worth.
Yep.
So there we go. So there we have our too many sets. Could have just been like a set and like print and remind me to like print some good cards in this like spot.
Yeah.
And not just like, oh, I guess it like thematically fits.
Right.
Like it doesn't do the job. All right, so we've now hopefully figured out what's in the pack. Maybe.
I think the only thing that we figured out is what I began the show with, that Wizards is consistently making me care less and less every time they make an announcement.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what this is. Like, that used to be the one thing I had left that I cared about was cool, shiny cards, and not even a little bit anymore.
If you
Although,
cool
did you see the new Thoughtseize?
I did. My first thought was like, man, the puzzle piece Thoughtseizes were a bad investment.
Yes.
Such a bad investment.
That was also my first thought.
Such, like, when I saw that it was spoiled, I was like, well,
yeah,
that was a poor choice.
Yep.
It was a poor choice anyway, I am sure.
Yeah.
But really, really a poor choice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it looks neat.
Mm-hmm. I like the art. I think the art's cool. The card looks good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just hard now. Like, there used to be like a cohesive look to like all of your cards,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like, well, I like this art, so like 4 cards in my deck are gonna be like, you know, anime weeb girls, and then like I like this art, so I'm gonna have this black and white like gritty like cowboy scene, and
yeah,
oh, I like this art, and so now I have some like Aztec print, and it's just like, are these all from the same game? Are these in any way, shape, or form related?
Nope.
No. I like this art, so I've got like 4 Ulamogs on cereal boxes. It's like, oh. So, all right. So our first mechanic is Outlaws.
Yeah, so Outlaws is, I guess, a very loose mechanic. Like, there is a thing that it does, but this is going to be the start of a theme where it feels like Wizards is just phoning it in. Outlaws basically groups up a bunch of creature types. Outlaws refers to assassin, mercenary, pirate, rogue, or warlock. If your creature is an assassin, a mercenary, a pirate, a rogue, or a warlock, it is an outlaw. You had mentioned in the pre-show party is kind of similar, but not really. I could have swore when I was writing the show notes that like we just had this mechanic. I swear there was just a mechanic that was like a bunch of creature types grouped together is a thing.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
So as you pointed out, must have been a banger.
Yeah. And that's basically the end. Like, that is the mechanic. There are things that they're going to care about you controlling a outlaw, or things that are going to care about like an outlaw entering the battlefield. They're just going to reference an outlaw, and that means they're referencing, it's a shortcut for assassin, mercenary, pirate, rogue, warlock.
It's kind of like a typal mechanic where it's like, oh, if you control a merfolk, do a thing.
Right.
When a merfolk enters the battlefield, do a thing.
Yep.
But as you put it, instead of caring about type, it cares about job.
Correct.
Anyone can be an assassin.
Mm-hmm.
Human, a merfolk, an elf.
Yep.
Right? So it's just like jobs matter.
Yep. Jobs matter. Specific jobs matter.
Yeah, specific jobs matter. So like this then like leads us to like, and how many sets are we gonna have? Like, I don't know, the 5-0, right? Like soldiers and like
soldier,
these are
knight,
the law enforcement
detective.
Yeah, these are your law enforcement people. Your Leos. So you have Leos and outlaws.
There you go.
Yeah, it's fine. My big thing is this just seems like a nightmare to remember in paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nowhere on the cards that reference outlaws does it specify what the outlaws are, at least not from what I've seen.
Yeah, and like, there used to be this grand time of Magic where reading the card explained the card.
No longer.
No longer.
Playing the card on Arena explains the card.
Yeah. Yeah, this just screams arena-only mechanic. The client takes care of remembering that, like, this random creature that you have is a rogue or a warlock.
Well, I'm sure that the tooltip that pops up when you hover over the card on Arena is going to say what an outlaw is.
I'm sure it will, but then you're not going to commit that to memory because you're just going to, like, your card's going to hit the battlefield and then, like, 3 triggers are going to happen and you're going to be like, I guess that was an outlaw. Sick. And that'll be that. They'll probably have, like, a weird little hat or something as, like the little thing to, like, remind you that they're outlaws or something. Yeah, it just feels not great.
Yeah.
Though I did like your, like, are mercenaries coming back? Can we, like, get like should we be getting, like, buying Lynn Civies now?
Right. See? It's a reference for you OG players.
That's right. For people who watch old YouTube videos.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know. This one just doesn't feel that impactful. Or that interesting. You could do it with, like, any number of things.
Oh yeah. Phoned in for sure.
Yeah, and it just kind of feels like it's not a mechanic that can easily, like, grow and constructed.
Yeah, I mean, like, next set we're probably going to have, like, a Long John Silver's mechanic where it's, like, crabs and fish and octopus and kraken and sea serpents.
And diarrhea.
Sure.
You can't forget. I say that, but I love me some Long John Silver's. Haven't had it in years. I probably, like, build it up in my head. But, oh, yeah, you can some hush puppies? Heck yeah.
We didn't have Long John Silver's. We had Arthur Treachers.
Okay, I've never had that.
Yeah.
All right, so next we have committing a crime, which is shorthand for playing the game of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, what are they, like, you're going to keyword playing a game of Magic? Like, what are you doing?
We are now currently playing Magic the Gathering, children's card game for ages 13 plus. Rated E for everyone.
No, so, now we're committing a crime.
We're committing a crime. So you commit a crime if you cast a spell or activate an ability that targets an opponent, their graveyard, a spell, or permanent that player controls. Magic is now a crime, as you put it.
Playing Magic is a crime.
Which many adults in my life in the late 90s, early 2000s would have agreed with the statement Magic is a crime. So we just caught up. It took
what's
30
wild
years,
is
caught up.
Like one of the places I used to play Magic when I was a kid was a church. So.
Oh, my church was not down with such.
Oh, yeah, they held tournaments on Saturday mornings.
So when you do this, when you play the game of Magic, this will there will be things will trigger when you commit a crime or care about having committed a crime. So, like, there's when you commit a crime, draw a card, discard a card. If you committed a crime at the end of your turn, do a thing.
Yep.
We've not seen any. I think you said that they may have said in the article that committing a crime is kind of limited to once each turn.
Yes. I think they said that.
Yes. So I'm like looking now.
Yeah, I don't think it says it in.
No. The cards that they have printed thus far.
Yeah.
Are limited to this only triggers once each turn.
Yeah.
Because I think I said in the pre-show, it is a mechanic that is fundamentally broken.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's enough ways to like target your opponent for free with just whatever.
Right.
That like if they made the payoff reasonable for committing a crime, but let you do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like they had one that's like Surveil 2 or something, or Scry 2. And it's just like, oh, like if I could do this multiple times, there would definitely be a deck that is just like Surveil 2. Mill myself out. Win the game on the spot.
Right.
Somehow. So they had to limit it to once a turn.
Yep.
Which, like, boo. Like, I kind of feel like it's like, we need a mechanic. We would like it to be themed for cowboys and whatnot. And we came up with committing a crime, but then we realized quite quickly that this is unbelievably broken.
Right.
And so we're going to have to limit it to once a turn. Because there's enough like things in like old Magic that's like 0 mana, do something trivial and dumb.
Yeah, was it Reconnaissance? Is that the one I'm thinking of? That's like pay 0 mana, untap a creature, or is that maybe it's just your creatures?
I don't remember. There's Reconnaissance Mission. Reconnaissance. Wait. Remove target attacking creature you control from combat. Yeah. But there are enough, like, random old cards that just, like, have, like, 0 do something stupid.
Yeah.
That, like, as opposed to being like, well, let's find them all. Let's do the gatherer search and find them all. It's like, no, let's just not make this a thing and, like, you know, kind of nerf the mechanic from the jump. And it just kind of feels like if the mechanic is kind of that fundamentally easily broken, like, why are you doing it? Like, come up with something else.
Well, like I mean, it's just playing a game of Magic. Like, you're playing a game of Magic and committing a crime. Your mechanic is playing Magic?
I can, like, not think of any deck that would not...
That just does not interact at all?
Yeah. Like, even the most uninteractive decks have some interaction. Or, like, you know...
I mean, Belcher interacts once, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everything interacts seemingly at least once.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have found a new and exciting way to make kicker / split cards.
This is such a weird mechanic.
This is the set's cleave.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Right? Where it's just like, crap, we need a mechanic.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Spree, and this is the hottest of garbage.
Yeah.
Like, as Gavin will sometimes say, a pail of stinky fish. Because that's in one of his books. This is a pail of stinky fish.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Pail of stinky fish.
It's in Oscar is a green grouch with a pail of stinky fish. And so, Spree, how does this gem of a mechanic work?
So this is basically kicker, like a lot of mechanics are. They're all modal cards, so they all have different things they can do. And when you cast the spell, you pay costs for each of the different things you would like to do. and add that to the casting cost of the spell. Right? Do you add it, or is it an additional cost? I think it's an additional cost.
It is an additional cost.
Okay. What I think, like, we've had some mechanics that were kind of like this. Escalate comes to mind, where there was like different abilities, and you could pay a kicker multiple times to like activate the different modes. What makes this a little bit different is that the costs are different for each mode that you pick.
Yes.
I don't think we've had a kicker that had a different cost for each different thing you wanted to do, which is kind of weird. What makes this mechanic really weird, though, is that, at least from what we've seen so far, if you don't choose a mode, the card doesn't do anything.
Yeah, well...
You don't have to choose a mode.
The way it's worded, it says choose one or more additional costs.
Oh, so you do have to choose one?
In the example, it's like if you cast the spell with Spree without paying its mana cost, you must still choose one or more modes and pay those additional costs. You must still choose. Gotcha. So you have to choose
one.
One.
Okay.
So
that makes a little more sense.
Do you remember I think it was from the first unset. Maybe it was it was like Unglued or Unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the card that was like, it had like Cycling and Madness.
Old Fogey.
Was it Old Fogey?
Yeah.
This is no, there was another one I thought was like it looked like a bunch of like, it was like a split card of a split card of a split card.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember what that one was called.
Yeah, but this is kind of, so the example we got in the preview was Final Showdown. It has a mana cost of white, but in the upper right-hand corner by the mana cost, it has a little plus sign.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Okay.
To remind you that you have to then go to the text box and Spree.
Yeah.
And it has, so it's white plus 1 generic. All creatures lose all abilities until the end of turn. Or white plus 1 generic. Choose a creature you control. It gets indestructible until end of turn. Or white plus 3 generic, white, destroy all creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, let me see here. A bad protection spell. I guess like kind of a bad dress down.
Yep.
And bad planar cleansing.
Yep.
Because it only gives creatures. So you could pay 1 in the white for one of the first 2 abilities. You could play 2 in a white and get both of the first 2 abilities.
Yep.
Or you could pay 5 white to get all 3 abilities.
Yeah.
And to me, like, any of these that have 2 should have just been a split card.
Right.
Right? Could have just easily been a split card that had Fuse.
Mm-hmm.
And it would let you do both.
Yep.
And Fuse is on a thing like Dynamite. I don't know. Work with me here. Work with me,
Makes
creative.
Makes sense to me.
So, like, Final Showdown has 3 modes. So, this horror show templating allows them to get more modes on the card.
Is there one with more than 3 modes?
I think there's some with 2. I'm, like, looking right now.
Oh, okay.
I think there's some with 2.
This uncommon has 2 modes.
So, like, that just is like a split card.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, needing to, like, you know, make this, like, aesthetically horrible mechanic.
Yeah.
This is just like Cleave, where they were like, brackets. Our mechanic is brackets.
Yeah.
And it's like, could you just called it kicker? Like, we wouldn't have been mad at you.
Right.
But, like, it doesn't, like, match thematically. And it's like, That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Like, this spell could have been like Final Showdown, 1 of the white. All creatures lose all abilities until the end of turn.
Mm-hmm.
Kicker, colorless. Choose a creature you control. It gains indestructible at the end of turn. Kicker, like 3 white. Or I guess three.
Yeah.
I guess it would have been 2 white. You get the all creatures lose all abilities plus the destroy all creatures like
No, it'd have been
text.
3 white. Or 4 white.
Well,
Because you add everything up.
No, but what I'm saying is if you made it kicker, right, and it started
Oh,
out the casting cost
yeah.
as 1 on the white,
Yeah.
you could have adjusted this so it like was still a functional Magic card,
Right. I gotcha.
and then just been like, it's like give it multiple kickers and call that spree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know it's a cop out, but fine.
Yeah.
But this just feels like, or what was it Strive?
Yeah.
Remember Strive from a
Copy
like,
it for each target.
Yeah, that feels like a spree to me, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, cool. But it does so. But yeah, the black uncommon unfortunate accident. It's just a split card. It's like 2 black destroy a creature, or 1 in the black make a 1/1. Like we literally just had these cards.
Right.
Like not too long ago. They're still in standard.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have the technology. You don't have to like make your card game like objectively worse.
Yeah.
And like the so when they did double face cards, right? There was a decision that like the complexity and the just like not having a magic back on a card, that complexity and that change was worth the fact that you got like all this interesting like storytelling werewolf kind of flavor stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me what the storytelling benefit of adding an arithmetic sign to one of your cards.
Right.
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
These are just split cards with extra steps, or kicker with extra steps.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we don't want to call it kicker, but I'm out of ideas.
Right. I mean, I guess like technically kicker isn't modal. And like I think that's what they were differentiating, was that these are all modal cards.
But kicker is modal. Right, I guess that spree would lock you into one thing.
Yeah.
Right, at least one. But like Blink of an Eye is like a modal card, right? It's 2 mana bounce spell or 4 mana bounce a thing, draw a card. Right? It has 2 modes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could have worded this like, it could have been like, maybe equally as ugly, like 1 in the blue, 1 in the white, choose 1.
Mm-hmm.
You get those 2 abilities. And then kicker, 1 in the white, choose 1 that it wasn't chosen.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know. It just feels, I guess I don't know the most elegant solution to it, but it couldn't have been this.
No, I agree. And that's basically the same criticism we had for Cleave, was like there is a way to do this, and this isn't it.
Yeah, and like Cleave was very much like the like when you have a hammer, everything's a nail.
Yeah.
When you like are trying to like shoehorn mechanics to fit your like theme,
right,
you end up with this, where it's not a great mechanic, and maybe it's on like 7 cards. Like, how many cards had Cleave?
I couldn't even tell you.
Hardly any, right?
The green one is the only one I can think of. I'm sure there was more, but
like as a mechanic, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, there are 12 cards that had cleave.
Yeah, that's worth the complexity of another mechanic that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but like this might be a like, yeah, we know this isn't good, but we need a 5th mechanic, so
Yeah.
we're gonna put it on as few cards as possible. We're gonna make most of them like stone unplayable, and we will never speak of this again.
There you go. Have a blast. Go on a spree.
Yeah, woo!
Yep. So the next mechanic we have is a 2-for-1. It's mounts and saddle. Mount is a new creature type that adds actual nothing to the game.
Nothing.
It's a mechanic though, so have fun with that. It serves no purpose other than to add a word to a magic card. Technically, I think it is specifically called out in this set. Creatures with the creature type mount are more likely to have a saddle ability, which is a weird way of saying that. But just being a mount doesn't give a creature a saddle ability. So mount actual does nothing other than add a word to a magic card. Which kind of makes saddle the actual mechanic and not mounts, even though they called out mounts as the mechanic.
That is so weird. Because like the mechanic could just be saddle.
Right.
And you don't need to have creatures that are mounts.
Right. The only purpose it serves is to add a word to the magic card.
For you to feel like flavorful. Like, oh, it's a mount.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I played World of Warcraft and I had a mount. I rode that. I bet you I get to ride this creature.
Yeah.
Okay.
So saddle is kind of like crewing. Saddle works like crewing a vehicle does, except that the thing you're crewing is already a creature. So it doesn't need to turn into one. Well, didn't we just have this mechanic where you tapped a creature to make a creature better?
Oh, what was that called? Like Hero of New Benalia had it. It was
Spy.
It was in Dominaria.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. But we just had this mechanic. Basically what you do is 4 cards with saddle. There'll be saddle and a number, just like crewing. And you have to tap creatures with that much power or more to saddle the creature. The creature is then considered saddled. And I don't know if there's like cards outside the mounts that will care about creatures being saddled, but I think in the article it called out that the creature being saddled will care about being saddled. It'll gain additional abilities, it'll have a triggered ability, something along those lines. They will care about being saddled.
Yes. So we were looking, the mechanic we were looking for was enlist.
Enlist, that's the one.
Which is effectively kind of the same thing, though a little bit more complicated because you do it when you declare attackers.
Right. Yeah, so saddle is also specifically at sorcery speed.
Which, I don't know if you saw my like mouth drop. Like, that just seems awful.
Not great.
Like, I was thinking like, you can crew at instant speed.
Yep.
You can crew a vehicle that has been crewed. Now, maybe
you can saddle a creature that's already been saddled.
You can.
As long as you do it sorcery speed.
Yeah. But, like, you could, like, attack and then, like, crew or whatever, right? The fact that it's just, like, no, this is at sorcery speed. Like, you got to put all your cards, like, all your, like, stuff, like, face up on the table. It's like, oh, well, that's kind of unfortunate.
And we'll come back to that in a minute, too.
Yeah, this kind of feels like the dumbing down of things.
Yeah. Well, right, but at the same point, you're making it more complex and dumbing it down because you're
Yeah.
adding words to the card that don't do anything.
Yeah, like our boy Gitrog monster could just be a frog horror.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to be a mount specifically.
Yep. Well, I mean, Thalia was riding him around.
Yeah. But like, for this card
Before he
to
was a
work,
mount, Thalia was riding him around.
yeah.
There's a joke in there.
Yes, there was. I was just leaving it alone.
All right.
Talking about mounting and writing and whatnot, yeah. So like, I guess I could see like with the Gitrog monster or the Gitrog design,
Mhm.
right, where you don't want, like to attack and then you be able to saddle at instant speed.
Yeah.
And like get the ability. But hear me out. Magic is a complex game. Right? Like that just is kind of like you like take agency and like, the ability for like, a player to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you attack, you think your opponent's not going to block. So you're like, oh cool, I'm going to, now that this is getting in, I'm gonna like saddle my Gitrog, and then they're like, okay, kill the Gitrog monster, you like tap down a blocker.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where I guess like now you've got to saddle it on the front end, and like there's no like bluffing or tension or anything.
Right.
Just like, oh, you saddled it and tapped your blocker, I guess I'll just kill the Gitrog monster now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you could attack and like not saddle, and then they're like, oh, do I like take this damage, take this 6, and then kill the blocker?
Mm-hmm.
No, we're not going to give us that kind of like play and interaction.
Right.
Yeah. It feels like they've been so focused of making mechanics that can have names that are related to whatever movie they watched on Netflix that inspired the set.
Yeah.
That they like don't like stop and think like, is this a good mechanic? Does this like move the game? Like, it's one thing to move the game forward because yes, now we have saddle as a mechanic, and now we can make a whole bunch of creatures that are mounts. Amazing. But like, does it make the game better?
Well, I mean, you could have made creatures that were mounts without saddle. Like,
Yeah.
a creature could have had the job mount. And just because a creature is a mount doesn't mean it has saddle.
Which, for some reason, we did.
Yeah.
Right? It feels like it should be like, if you were a mount, I can saddle you. Oh, man. Can we get... we need to get, like, Bareback Rider. Which is also bad. Where it can... where, like, you can tap it, and it gives any creature, like, a fixed saddle ability.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Because it doesn't need to be a mount. It can ride anything.
Oh, can you... Never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
Can a bareback rider give a saddle ability to another bareback rider?
Oh,
so they can ride each other?
Whee! I think
a circle
we saw
of bareback riders riding each other, just rolling.
I think our podcast does have the explicit rating, so we should be fine for this.
Okay.
So yeah, this, I don't know. The two cards are kind of like that they like are highlighting this on, or like, I know they don't like onboard tricks, but like the train Arnax,
yeah,
Arnix, right? Could have like, hey, they can like pay a cost and give it first strike. That's gonna impact how you're gonna block.
Well,
right? Like,
I mean that wouldn't work with trained Arnix anyway. Because it says whenever trained Arnix attacks while saddled. So it has to be saddled and then it's...
Well, what I'm saying is like if you could like pay to... If it was like saddle, trained Arnix gets first strike.
Right.
Only on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
right? So like it's a beater. So then you can be like, oh, okay, well, oh, you tapped your thing to win this combat. I had a combat trick.
Yeah.
Now I kill your trained Arnix because my thing's bigger, and now you took a blocker out of the way,
Right.
right? So like your opponent could attack, and then like if I don't block, they don't tap their thing. So there's like incentive for me to block to try to get them to tap their thing. And because maybe I have a spell that like kills a tapped creature, and like I would trade this creature for that one.
Right.
And that's just like kind of gone now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It being at sorcery speed just feels like they're like, we don't like onboard tricks thing, because I think it just plays too much like on an onboard trick.
Yeah.
And so they're just trying to avoid onboard tricks.
Could be.
Which, like, you know, was a part of Magic for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
But now isn't. Which...
Well, so that's really... Yeah, you're right.
Or it's less. Every so often, like, one, like, sneaks through, and you're like, why did they print this?
Yeah.
So maybe the other way, you're like, oh, why did they, like, print this where it's, like, the onboard trick of, like, oh, does it have first strike?
Well, I mean, what I was going to say is what feels worse, though? Like, getting got by an onboard trick or getting got by a spell that didn't cost anything?
True. Probably the spell doesn't cost anything.
Right. So, like, why are you trying to prevent onboard tricks when you're, like, filling formats full of free spells?
But I guess, like, from a limited point of view, right? Like, the onboard tricks in limited are kind of blah.
Yeah.
And, like, people play, like, one Modern Horizons draft because they're $40 and then don't ever play one again.
Yeah.
So...
Not this time around. It's going to be on Arena.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So far, this feels like a swing and a miss. Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I know what they're going for. It's stupid.
Yep.
Like, I totally grokked what was happening.
Yep.
Cool. And then it's like, I don't like it.
Yep.
All
so,
right.
Talking about dumbing down the game and not having onboard tricks, the next mechanic is plot. Now, if you played during Kaldheim, you would remember Foretell. This is very similar to Foretell, where plot is a cost that you pay while the card is in your hand, and you pay that cost and exile the card, and then later on you get to cast the card. The difference between plot and Foretell is that your plotted card is exiled face up, so your opponent knows what it is. And you don't have to pay the mana cost when you cast the spell.
Yes, you take care of it all up front. So you just...
Where like a lot of Foretell cards gave you a discount on the back end because you paid for it early. This is not like that. You just pay the cost up front.
But it makes everything a sorcery.
Yes.
So when you plot... So the card one of the cards they use is Plan the Heist. It's a sorcery to start with. So you plot it, and then you can only cast it as a sorcery.
Yep.
There are some cards that give a card plot or plot a card, and would make an instant only be castable at sorcery speed.
Yep.
So did you see the joke for... I guess it even works without the plot, right? So, like, when you cast a spell, it leaves your hand. So they, like, Surveil 3 if you have no cards in hand, then draw 3 cards. That works if you cast it from your hand as well, right? Because then your hand is empty.
If it was the last card in your hand, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like the plot thing doesn't even like make it so like you can get that ability easier.
Well, if you had like multiple plot cards, you could put them all in exile over the course of a couple turns, and then like chain them off all at once.
Yeah. Like Secret Storm.
Yeah.
Just set all this stuff aside and then
so that was
bam, bam, bam.
I know we've been poking fun at mechanics here, but that was like legitimately the one use I could think of for plot, was where you know your deck is full of nothing but cantrips and your opponent knows your deck is full of nothing but cantrips. Like, there's no reason to not have 3 cantrips plotted so that you just chain them all off and increase storm count.
Yeah. Where you just like kind of put the mana on layaway.
Yep.
So it's fine. There are a number of cards that like care if you cast cards from not your hand.
Oh, that's true. Like Prosper.
Well, even in this set, like even beyond Prosper.
Okay.
Like I think there's some cards
Well, actually,
in
in
this set.
Keldheim there was too, right?
Yeah,
The
I
owl.
think so.
The owl cared about you.
Mm-hmm. I think the owl cared if you cast a card from Foretell. Like I thought there was a.
I think there was some in Keldheim that just cared about outside the game too, though.
So there's Satoru the Infiltrator, which
Mhm.
is blue-black for a 2/3. It has Menace, and when Satoru the Infiltrator and or one or more other non-token creatures enter the battlefield under your control, if none of them were cast or no mana was spent to cast them, draw a card.
Okay.
So, like, if you were to plot a creature,
Yep,
and then cast it and not spend mana, that's like plotting. I thought there was one that was like if you play a card from, like exile or not your hand, but I could be wrong. That has happened once or twice before. I don't like it. Yeah, I thought I saw something, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But these are, I mean, they're fine. Like, it's another like weird alternate cost. And the wording is can be cast on another turn. So for like plan the heist, it does fix your mana. It goes from 2 blue to 3 and a blue.
So you can't cast until your next turn.
Yeah. I can't imagine that this mechanic is playable outside of what's it called? Outside of limited, because I don't think in Modern Magic you can like
Take a turn off the plot. Like reveal information to your opponent and not do anything.
Yeah. Here you go. And then not do anything, and then the next turn be like, haha. I'm now going to do 2. I'm going to double spell this turn. It's like, well, no, you still only cast 1 spell each turn.
Yeah.
Oh, where is the?
So it is worth noting. Oh, go ahead.
There's Displaced Haunt, and it's one in the blue for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if you did not cast a spell from your hand this turn, and Displaced Haunt isn't a creature, it becomes a 3/3 spirit creature with flying in addition to its other types.
Okay.
And then it pays 1 in the blue to 2 in the blue to surveil 1. So like you plot something, and then you play this, and then you cast the plotted spell.
Yeah.
You've now cast the spell not from your hand.
Yep.
So you've still got to play the game, but
you've
like met this requirement. Yes.
One thing that I think is worth noting is the plot ability is called out as a special action, which means it doesn't use the stack. Correct? Was
Foretell a special action?
Maybe. Yeah, I think it was.
So yeah, so it's just kind of that same thing.
Yep.
Though I think they fixed, because like they initially it was you could only foretell on your turn.
Yeah.
So you could do it at instant speed.
Yeah.
On your turn. But this, they're very much like empty stack.
Yeah, sorcery speed.
As a sorcery. It's like, okay, we got it. It is so weird that they've limited all this stuff to as a sorcery. It's like they just have these mechanics that are like, we're pulling instant speed interaction out of this set to some degree.
So the very last line of this section about plot says
Okay.
the same timing rules to apply to any card that becomes plotted, no matter how that happens. It can't be cast on the same turn it became plotted. When you finally do cast the spell, you do so as a sorcery. So you cast the spell from exile.
As a sorcery.
As a sorcery.
You cast it from exile. So if you plot a counter spell.
Yep.
So sorry. You have made a card that does not do anything anymore. So like that's like it's just awkward. And then I don't know. Do you want to talk about this cursed commander minigame?
Well, hang on. I have a what if.
Okay.
So I know I mentioned this card briefly in the pre-show, but what happens with Leyline of Anticipation?
I think the fact that plot says you cast as a sorcery.
But Leyline says you may cast spells as though they had flash.
But I'm assuming that the rules of plot supersede that, right? Because like think of like Teferi. Like you can't cast spells at instant speed or whatever the heck Teferi's wording is. So like, a Leyline of Anticipation doesn't like overrule that. And this says you can only do this as a sorcery.
Okay.
You can only cast the spells as a sorcery. So I assume Leyline would not overrule that, but I'm like, I used to be a level and a half judge, and now like I'm not even that much of a judge anymore. So
level
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, 0.2. We are half of a half now.
Yeah.
I'm a quarter level judge. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Something layers something.
Yeah, but my the fact that it's like you may cast it as a sorcery, full stop. Like that's part of the ability the card gets when it goes into the magical foretell zone.
Okay.
So I don't think I think that is the timing that matters.
Maybe I'll have to fire it up on Arena and find out, since Arena's the new judge.
Is Leyline of Anticipation on Arena?
I think so. It was a Mystical Archive, wasn't it?
Maybe, yeah. And like maybe like plus 3 mana to fairy. Like now I can cast sorceries as though they were instants.
Yeah.
Just all of the stuff. Can we break the rules? Also weird that we have like guns now, or things that kind of like approximate guns.
Yeah, the weird like Halo sword things.
Yeah. Yeah, is that what they are? Are they Halo swords?
I don't know. That's kind of what they look like to me.
Yeah, the one in the holster does look like a Halo sword.
Well, the one on the card type that you were just referencing, the guy in the middle is holding one that looks like it's like a Halo dagger instead of a Halo sword, but
The Plan the Heist?
Miriam Telis Jr.
Oh, yeah. But it also looks very gunnish. But I could see it being an energy sword.
Yeah.
All right. And then finally, because every year is the year of Commander, we have some weird Commander minigame.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody else needs to care about this, because like this is a thing that you decide to do before you start the game, kind of like Plane Chase or Archenemy or whatever. There's no cards that are going to interact with these. But yeah, there's a little mini game you can play during Commander. You shuffle up a bunch of these bounty cards, and then I guess I don't know when you flip them over, but at some point you'll flip them over, and when you meet whatever requirements, you get a little bonus.
Yeah. Starting on bounties begin on the starting player's third turn.
Okay.
Because that is intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. I don't know how many there are. I guess there are 12 or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, there are 12 bounty cards. They just started with 3.
Okay.
Thankfully, these are not like broken legacy legal cards or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe limited will play all right for the few matches of limited I play, but like these mechanics feel like convoluted and like not great.
It's weird because they simultaneously feel like underpowered and overcomplicated.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a great place for a mechanic to be. Typically, you want it to be like intuitive and I don't want to say overpowered, but like something to move the game along. And
Yeah.
I don't think any, other than maybe committing a crime, like none of these actually move the game along.
Yeah. They're just kind of like you just kind of spin your wheels.
Yeah, they all incentivize you to spin wheels. Other than committing a crime, which, like, again, oddly enough, disincentivizes you to like playing a game by like calling it a crime to play the game, but also incentivizes you to commit a crime by playing the game.
Yeah.
So
And then
weird.
some of the like
Mixed messages here.
yeah, but some of the uh what is it called? Some of the cards that don't have mechanics like seem pretty powerful.
Yeah, like what?
So we can read it here. I don't think it has a. Here you go. Kellen the Kid. Bant for a 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
Flying Lifelink.
Halo Sword.
Halo Sword, yes. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, so back to plotting.
Yep.
You may cast a permanent spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield.
Oh, yeah, that seems pretty good.
So, like, imagine a situation where you have a card with a like a 2-mana plot card. Right? You play this, and then you play your 2-mana plot card.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to like ramp yourself.
Yeah.
Or put a 2-mana permanent into play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unfortunately, like you can't get paid off in older formats easily. Because like I was thinking like, oh gosh, like suspend?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But like suspend happens in your upkeep. So it's not like you could suspend something and then like Kellen would have to survive a turn.
Yeah.
For you to get the bonus.
I don't know how much this matters, but escape is casting.
Oh yeah.
So you
good point.
Uro is on color.
Uro is very on color.
So you could escape Uro and then play a 3-drop.
Just put another Uro in to draw you another card.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like we have ways to like. So I think that Kellen may go the way of Prosper,
mm-hmm.
where like everything just ends up being good in Kellen.
Right.
Right. Like I guess that lets you cast a thing from exile. Okay, I guess that's good in Kellen.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Except that like at least with Prosper, like that's kind of on color for those colors. Yeah. Like
this is a little harder.
Bant isn't really other than Foretell, I guess, isn't really the colors of casting things.
Or like Flashback.
Oh, that's true. Flashback. Yeah, Faithful Mending.
What was the other? I had another thing that was like Discover.
Oh yeah,
Discover
okay.
is casting from not your hand.
It is.
Now Discover was in like red.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really line up. But like that card seems pretty. Yeah, that card seems pretty powerful.
Yeah. I kind of liked right next to that on Mythic Spoiler here, Magda. The new Magda looks pretty good.
Yes, the new Magda does seem kind of nutty.
Yeah.
What does the new Magda do for the folks at home that might not be following along?
Again, it's a bear, 2-mana 2/2, and whenever you commit a crime, create a tapped treasure token. Only triggers once per turn, and then you can sack 3 treasures, just 3, to make a 4/4 red scorpion dragon with flying and haste.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can get treasures from ways other than Magda. Treasures are pretty trivial to collect.
I mean, you can get treasures from the original Magda.
You could, yep.
And, like, in Modern Magic, 3 treasures is, like, no treasures.
Exactly. Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's pretty trivial.
Yeah, we're just throwing those things around whenever.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, like, there are some, like, powerful cards in the set.
Mhm.
But, like, it doesn't feel like they're the cards that have, like, the mechanics.
Right. Yeah, they're just generically good.
Yeah, also, like the when you cast your set, like, there's there's the blue-red uncommon. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on the thing and draw a card.
Yep.
Like, does this always have to, like... I feel like we get this as the blue-red mechanic, like, every other set now.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
It's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do the thing.
Yep.
But, alright, so, as you all can tell, we are pumped about Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
Yeah. Pumped.
Like, get me some shirtless Oko. Perhaps let him relive his Thief of Crowns days.
Oh, here's a great way to make some treasures. The
What's
Great
that?
Train Heist.
Choo-choo.
It has spree. It's got to be good.
Oh, is it the red one?
Yeah. So if you chose that mode, it's red. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to that player this turn, create a tapped treasure token.
There you go. And you can do it, like, at instant speed. So, like, you can attack and then, like, blah.
Yep.
And I mean, it's also like a what is it? Relentless Assault.
Mm-hmm. And half a trumpet blast.
Yeah. Oh, but they gain first strike, so that's even, like, maybe better than Trumpet Blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. That card's good.
Mm-hmm.
I hate when I look at cards and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. But then I'm like, I hate the mechanic.
Right.
So, like, especially, like, for uncommons, I'm like, I'm not gonna put you in the cube. Like, I'm gonna do my best to, like, not acknowledge. Like, there's a vehicle.
Yeah.
That, like, when it's like a 2-mana 3/3 with, like, crew 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And when you attack, you can look at the top card of your library and put a land into play. Okay, well, that's neat.
Yeah.
But it also has, like, it has haste if you have a creature that with saddle, and it's like,
oh,
I don't want to acknowledge this. I just don't want to acknowledge this. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, but no, thank you.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like we're running out of ideas.
It sure does.
Like, you know,
it's kind of what happens when you burn everything to the ground every time you find something that works.
Yeah. Instead of being like, we're just gonna do this for a little bit, like, you could just have, like, not super interesting mechanics, but still end up with, like, interesting cards in a good limited environment.
Yeah.
But all right. So with all that, I think we got a show.
We got a show.
So if you are super hyped for Cowboys, let us know. Get at us on social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, email, all that stuff. All is in the link below. Come say hi.
Yeah. Hopefully we gave you a little bit of a chuckle today with Brian's bareback rider card design.
Yeah.
Like you said, reach out to us. Let us know what you thought. All the social media is down below. If you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. surf on over there, do your Magic shopping, and support the show at the same time. We would really appreciate that. If you want to support us more directly, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Chip a couple bucks in, you get access to our pre-show and our show notes. You also get to support us, like I said, directly. It would mean a lot to us. So
Yeah.
thanks.
So for if you want more great card designs like Bareback Rider, hire me, wizards, you cowards.
Bareback Rider.
And with that, we'll catch you in the internets.
We'll catch you on the internets.